Assalamualaikum. My name is Syafiqah Binti Muhammad Tamizi as a first presenter. Introduction. Pandemic COVID-19 gives a huge impact on all factors, including economic, social, and political sectors for each country around the world. Education is one of the factors that receive bad impacts. Early in the year 2019, all physical classes and examinations need to be extended for a while when MCO, Moving Control Order, has been implemented to control this pandemic. However, the statistics shows the new case of COVID-19 keeps increasing days by days in our country. Therefore, the Ministry of Higher Education has announced all physical and examinations will be done by using the online platform. The purpose of this research is to study the effect of the online platform used in online distance learning on student acceptance towards online class. The studies focus on UiTM's student. Problem statement. Students will be affected, especially those who do not have a good internet connection and use their own personal data to attending online classes and streaming lectures video using online platform. Consuming too much data can make them unable to attend the net class. Next, lecturers face difficulties to use the online platform as a new channel to deliver their lectures. All the lecturers need to have the additional skill to use a variety of online teaching style using the online platform, which this is a new pattern of teaching style applies holistically. Research question. First, is there a positive relationship between types of online platform and the students' acceptance on online class? Second, is there a positive relationship between instructor behavior and the students' acceptance on online class? Third, what is the level of students' acceptance towards online class during pandemic COVID-19? The objective of research is to determine the positive relationship between types of online platform and the students' acceptance on online class. Next, to examine the positive relationship between instructor behavior and the students' acceptance on online class. And the last objective is to determine the level of students' acceptance towards online class during pandemic COVID-19. For scope of study, we use the Google Form platform to get the response from the UiTM students. Significance of the study. The finding of these studies will help the institution to know about the student performance in a new norm during the pandemic COVID-19, which this will help the institution to improve the facilities in online platform and make them able to perform well through online platform, same as a physical class.
My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Ismail. Chapter 2 explains about students' acceptance towards online distance learning, ODL, during pandemic COVID-19. There are a few variables that might affect them in order to fulfill their responsibilities as a student. Researchers also examine about relation of all variables. As we can see, there are three dependent variables that been studied. First, is according to Lisa R. Ame in 2020, majority students would prefer face-to-face class rather than online because they can be more focused through online learning. This also because of the duration study that affect their preference. Second is according to A. Patricia Aquilera Hermida in 2020, ODL will make students quite low in motivation, attitude, and their effort. Face-to-face class will be more strong spirit shown by them. The third is according to Michael Barzet in 2020, he told that the limitation of online platform will result to decrease skills performance and activeness of students. There are three independent variables based on online platform. First is according to Nur Alim in 2019, she identified that Google Classroom is the best platform that's suitable and easy for students to access. Second is according to Jonas Flynn in 2017, explained the collaboration on classroom lecture with students. And the third is according to Isnania in 2015, online platform or e-learning will make students more easy to access all information wherever they are as long as they have a stable internet connection. There are three independent variables based on instructor behavior. The first is according to Aris A. Lapada in 2020, Philippines lecturers use ODA as their primary medium because COVID-19 had impact fully on system on education. Second is according to Chiu Lan Chon in 2020, he told that the challenging conducting online class because of the level of instructor readiness. The third is according to Mansoure Kabrici in 2017, ODL had made more changes on all elements of teaching and learning. Theoretical framework. This table shows that the relationship between the student acceptance of online class with the types of online platform and the instructor behavior. The hypothesis that can be made after viewing the result of dependent and independent variable is both have positive relationship with the level of students' acceptance of online class during this pandemic COVID-19.
My name is Muhammad Hazman Razin bin Zainuddin for chapter 3, which is research methodology. So, this chapter discusses the justification of the theoretical framework and resulting hypothesis to test the relationship between types of platform use and instructor behavior with students' acceptance towards ODL during COVID-19 pandemic. The objective of this chapter is to ensure that an accurate method of research procedure performing in order to assist the reader to be better understand and evaluate the result of the research. For the population, all students of UiTM were the population for this study. Yes, the UiTM students across Malaysia As we mentioned in the report, there are a total of 100 students to be the sample in this research. The sample for this research. So, in a simple word, sampling is a process, or technique of choosing a subgroup from a wide population to participate in this study. This study will be carried out among students from UiTM. The population was identified from this study. Taking a subset from chosen sampling frame or entire population is called sampling. Sampling can be used to make inference about a population. So, in order to achieve the goal of study, purposive sampling was applied. Means that selected based on expertise investigation and research the sample that would be appropriate for the study. For example, this study just only focused to the population of UiTM students based on the level of student acceptance of online class during pandemic COVID-19. For the sample size, as mentioned before, there are 100 students in UiTM, which will be the target sample of population for this study. The maximum sample size is 100 specifically exclusive for UiTM students in order to avoid errors when collecting the data. If the amount is not met, then the data will be incomplete and there will be errors during the research. For the research design and technique, this research will use purposive sampling. So the research is conducted to investigate the best platform in order to minimize the consumption of internet data and reduce students' burden, and to study the effect of platform use in ODL on student acceptance toward online class. The targeted respondents are exclusively from UiTM students who are experiencing online distance learning ODL during the pandemic COVID-19. To be more specific, the respondents are from a variety of educational levels such as pre-diploma, diploma, degree, master, and also PhD. We made a questionnaire so that we can obtain enough data needed for us to conduct this research. The questionnaire will be distributed through WhatsApp group that consists of UiTM students. Hence, a time set for distribution of the questionnaire is within 3 to 6 weeks. The method we use for this research is data collection. We obtain our data from the questionnaire that we distribute to UiTM students. There were two objectives identified for this study, which is firstly, to choose the best online platform in order to minimize the consumption of internet data and reduce students' burden. And number two, to study the effect of the platform use in online distance learning on student acceptance towards online class. Lastly, for research instrument, so the questionnaire we made is in Google form. We divided the questionnaire into 4 different sections, which are section A, B, C, and D. So section A is basically about the respondents' profile, such as gender, age, and education level. For section B to D, respondents need to choose their answer between 1, which is strongly disagree, to 5, which is strongly agree. In section B, the questions are about how students feel about their online classes. While in section C, the questions are about the platform used for online classes, and for section D is about the opinion of students on instructor behavior in online classes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ikram bin Muhammad Khairi, and I will further explain about chapter 4, which is finding and analysis. We go to the next slide, which is the reliability test. It is used to conduct and to identify the internal consistency of the items, measuring the variables with subjective measures. The dependent variable is student acceptance towards online class during pandemic COVID-19. The Cronbach alpha value is 0.799, which is acceptable level of internal consistency. Therefore, the item used to measure the variable will consider reliable. Next, the reliability test is conducted to identify the independent variable of types of online platform. The Cronbach alpha is 0.655, which is questionable level of internal consistency. Therefore, the item used to measure the variable is somehow not considered reliable. Lastly, the reliability test is conducted to identify the independent variable instructor behavior. The Cronbach alpha is 0.845, which is a good level of internal consistency. Therefore, the item used to measure the variable is considered reliable. Next, we go to the next slide. Next, the normality test. The table shows the result obtained for all the variables in the student acceptance to an online class during the pandemic COVID-19. Based on the table show, the score for both mean and median for each variable student's acceptance is 2.858 and the median is 2.800. The mean value of 2.58 Next, we go to the next slide, which is the normality test. The table shows the variables in the student acceptance towards online class during the pandemic COVID-19. Based on the table, it shows that the score for both mean and median for each variable's student's acceptance. The mean is 2.858 and the median is 2.800. The mean value of 2.858 means that the respondents give the rate neutral for the statement as the value is close to 3. The types of online platform used, the mean is 3.7960 while the median is 3.800. The mean value shows that the respondent agree with the statements as the value is close to 4. And lastly is the instructor behavior, which have the mean of 3.448 and median 3.400. It shows that the respondents is neutral about the statement. Furthermore, the score for the skewness and the kurtosis for each variable student's acceptance. Skewness is 0.312, meanwhile the kurtosis is 0.083. The type of online platform used, skewness is negative 0.087, meanwhile the kurtosis is negative 0.059, and the instructor behavior skewness is negative 0.059, meanwhile the kurtosis is 0.023. The result is similar, therefore the sample was considered normal. The next slide shows the normal QQ plot for the DV acceptance. IV platforms and the IV instructor behavior. Furthermore, we continue with the frequency table. First is gender, which is included the demographic. About 84% of the respondent is female, meanwhile the other 16% is male. The age range from 18 to 27 and above of age, and the majority is from the respondent age 18 to 20. Next, we go to the education level. Most of the respondents are from diploma students, which is about 59% of it were diploma. Next, we go to the marital status, which the majority of the respondent was single. Next, we continue the slide with correlation. The result shows that there is a difference in mean between online platform and student acceptance, as p-value is 0.00, which is less than 0.05. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected. The result shows that there is a difference in mean between instructor behavior and the student's acceptance. As p-value is 0.000, less than 0.05, thus the null hypothesis is rejected. Next, we go to the next part, which is this descriptive statistic. It is to determine the level of student acceptance towards online learning during the pandemic COVID-19. The mean and standard deviations have been conducted and show result of the overall mean for students' acceptance was at 2.8580. Therefore, this value shows the acceptance of students towards online learning during the pandemic COVID-19 is weak. We further continue with our presentation about correlation of coefficient, which is R square. Using the R square obtained from the table above shows that the R2 is 35.1%. There is a moderate positive relationship with the dependent variable students' acceptance towards online learning, with the independent variables types of platform use and instructor behavior. The rest 64.9% is come from other factor. Next, we go to the next table, which explain about the percent correlation between the independent variable, the type of platform used, and the dependent variables students' acceptance towards online distance learning is 0.501 and is close to 1. This means that there is a moderate positive relationship between both variables. Meanwhile, the significant two-tails for both variables is 0.000, also known as p equal to 0.000. The smaller the p-value is the evidence that it shows significant result, thus reject the null hypothesis. The percent correlation between the independent variables of instructor behavior and the dependent variables of the student acceptance towards online distance learning is 0.534 and is close to 1. This means that there is a moderate positive relationship between both variables. Meanwhile, the significant two-tail for both variable is 0.000, also known as p equal to 0.000. The smaller the p-value, the evidence that it shows significant result. Thus, reject the null hypothesis. Next, we go to the next part, which is the regression testing. The H1 is there is a positive relationship between types of online platform and the level of student acceptance of online class during the pandemic COVID-19. The hypothesis testing shows that there is a positive relationship between the types of online platforms and the level of student acceptance of online class during the pandemic COVID-19. Thus, H1 is accepted. Next, we go to the next, which is the H2. There is a positive relationship between the instructor behavior and the level of student acceptance of online class during the pandemic COVID-19. This shows that the hypothesis result there is a positive relationship between the instructor behavior and the level of student acceptance of online class during the pandemic COVID-19. Thus, H2 is accepted. Both H1 and H2 are accepted.
My name is Aiman Fikry Binti from BA 2445A. I will talk about chapter 5, which is discussion. Okay, for the first is recommendation. Based on the whole report, online platform is something new that everyone must face starting during this pandemic. Something recommendation must be made to make sure online platform is suitable and good enough. The government must provide additional fund for each person for them to get highly speed of internet coverage. The students' fees must be considered to decrease the amount because students not anymore use the facility of university. The lecturer must know how to overcome all the problem when giving the lecture. They must use, for the second point, they must use the easiest platform that all students can easily reachable and free to access. Lecturer can record their lecture because that way can save internet data rather than give lecture through live meeting. For students, each of them must give full 100% focus until last. They must do every tutorial and assignment for them to get higher mark. Online platform can make students get higher mark because they can choose place that they are suitable and comfort for them to answer the exam peacefully. Lastly, each person like student and lecturer must cooperation through this new normal to fulfill all the requirement of study can be smoothly go and reach the mission vision of online platform. For the conclusion, the study will get to know the performance and preference of students during the pandemic. By knowing what the opinion of students from different background, it will help the study institution to improve the content, technique and other factors that will affect students' level of studying. With further research and understanding, the problem of online study can be overcome to make it better. Instructor also can learn how to manage online classes and make it more similar to face-to-face physical class, so that student can get the study environment even though it is an online class. Anything that would be happen will always have solution to overcome them. By doing some research and studies, we will get answer to our question. That's all for our group. Thank you.